push with the SNOOP program, we push the investors to develop projects for other types of value chain and other types of beneficiary organizations involved in these value chains. I was saying at the beginning that public funding alone is not sufficient, but actually private capital alone does not work either. And that's why we use public funding here with the SNOOP program to define some criteria, to try to push private investors to go to more risky, or what they consider as more risky. So especially the kind of value chains you were mentioning, it's not easy, but it's especially with this kind of blended finance mechanism, mixing public funding and private funding, that we can find interesting solutions for everyone, I think.
Thank you. We have 7 more minutes for questions and answers. I don't know, Enid, do you want to comment on any of the questions raised? Or do you skip it for this round and wait for the next? Yes, good. The next round, I kick off with a message that I got from the audience, a question that is particularly for IFAD or any other panelist. So listen to this. I was looking forward to hearing about how financing options currently available could become climate friendly or smart. What are some steps organizations and financial institutions could take to transform their products into climate smart and resilient financing options? So that's the first question that we take into this round. Thank you for the letter giver. Open once more for further questions, and I'll collect some more because then we actually go into the conclusion of this panel. I see 2 in the second row, from a lady and a gentleman just next to each other. Can we have a microphone?
I am yet to ask.
Oh, you do.
I have it here.
Please.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much. My name is Benjamin Ojelel Etubi. I work with the Worldwide Fund for Nature. We are a conservation organization. The discussions are quite interesting, and it gears me towards the first thinking. Where and how do we access our promise of the COP, the least developed countries fund? Before we start running for another finance, there's an allocation specifically for the least developed countries, how we can get that adaptation fund that will help our farmers. Secondly, when you look at the financial institutions, there's a lot of talking about green finance, they speak about it, but I am not yet seeing looking at going to a financial institution or running to the bank to pick the money. We have to look at what about growing crops. It's a bundled service. We are talking about agroforestry, sustainable land uses, but there are a lot of private sector companies.
We hear you. Please do wrap up because we want to collect other questions.
Yeah, so how do we then have private sector engage who are doing nature to do businesses on the landscapes where farmers are? Because at the end of it all, when you invest in the farmer, the resource that the private sector would use more on operation and maintenance gets less if that is invested into the farmer, not just as a
Thank you, sir. That was more than one question. It was ample of questions. I do want to pass the microphone to the second row, and the lady and the gentleman just sitting next to each other, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Naona Osoro. I'm from Nigeria. I have a question. I think it's more, should I say philosophical, but I would like to ask, I'm curious about what is the motive behind companies in the global west, global north, funding or putting money into climate finance? Is it more about supporting the smallholder farmers to adopt climate-friendly practices, or is just to make themselves look good, tax break, whatever? I'm just concerned and curious about what the motive is. I know at the end of the day, yes, some money is being provided to smallholder farmers, but then we do know that the smallholder farming system as we know it today is not going to help Africa feed itself. Let's be honest. Smallholder farmers operate in fragmented, disjointed, scattered, that's the mode, right? We cannot do away with them. But then if we really want to feed ourselves in terms of the quantity of grains that we can produce, and I think this focus on smallholder farming, for 20 years we've been talking about smallholder farmers. Yes, we can't do away with them. They are a narrative. Medium-scale farmers. What of the larger-scale farms?
Access them. It's about climate-friendly inputs. We're talking about disease-resistant kind of inputs, the seeds, the organic fertilizers. Those are the kind of financing that we need to channel our efforts.
And like, yeah, the beneficiaries, the smallholder farmers, as well as the private sector, because they're also benefiting, right, like from those services and from their products, will continue to feed into it. So like, you know, at the moment we are still in design process, but hopefully like, maybe in like a few years we can be able to give you a bit more results on that front. Then very last point, I think also in terms of like with the private sector, with like green financing, like very
mismatch. At the German Ministry for Economic Cooperation and Development, the BMZ, we try to do our bit to deal with this mismatch, and I want to give you just a few brief examples. We support the compensation initiative that we heard about today a lot, and we all benefit from your experience and inspiration, so I invite is a strong link to financing a climate resilient and low emissions transformation of our agriculture and food systems. We spend billions of dollars every year on practices that undermine exactly that. Let us use this money for smart activities. It already is there. Together with the World Bank, we identify synergies in Ghana, Malawi, Mozambique, and Tanzania, for example, to foster agricultural production, income generation, climate resilience, and biodiversity positive action. We know that there are synergies between climate resilient approaches in transforming our agriculture and food systems with biodiversity and soil protection measures. We finance studies of the Economics of Land Degradation initiative in Rwanda and Central Asia that show the investment needs and economic effects for the efficient achievement of the objectives of the 3 Rio Conventions through a better harmonization at the national level. Both studies are being discussed with a great interest in the Rio Secretariats and national focal points. In this area of climate change and climate adaptation and emissions reduction, climate